Human, my mother needs a partner, and I wish for a father. Please marry her and help lead the Galaxy HFY. The twin suns of New Solus stretched across the sky, painting the dusty asteroid town in streaks of gold and orange. Little Ilera Ellie Vance sat on the edge of the highest platform of the settlement's orbital beacon, swinging her legs in the air. The wind tugged at her hair, and the quiet hum of machinery filled the silence between the suns. She liked this spot because she could see the entire settlement, the nearby craters, and the endless black of space beyond. Eli had a problem. Her mother, Captain Mara Vance, was strong, smart, and brave, but she was always busy. Every day, she flew her ship, checked the asteroid's defenses, and negotiated with visiting traders. Eli loved her, but sometimes she felt the pang of a quiet wish inside her chest. She wanted a father. Not a replacement for her mother, but someone who could guide them both, laugh with them, and maybe even help lead the galaxy someday. She sighed, staring at the stars. I wish, she whispered to herself, I wish someone could come. Someone good. Someone who can help Mom. That night, Eli pulled out a small, handheld transmitter. It was an old device, left behind by explorers who had visited New Solus long ago. Most people used it for signals to traders or for the settlement's safety alerts. Eli, however, had a more personal mission. She carefully typed a message in simple code, her fingers shaking a little with excitement. Human, my mother needs a partner. I wish for a father. Please marry her and help lead the galaxy. Signed, Eli Vance. She placed the message into the beacon's transmitter slot and pressed the launch button. A soft whirring sound filled the air as the device hummed and blinked. Then, with a gentle flash, the message shot into space, carried by tiny pulses of light. Eli leaned back and stared at the stars. Maybe, she thought, someone will hear me. The next morning, the asteroid town was bustling with activity. Mara Vance moved through the streets with confidence, greeting traders and checking the settlement's solar panels. She was the kind of person people admired, a leader who made tough choices without complaint. Yet she noticed Eli lingering behind the market stalls, peeking at her with wide, hopeful eyes. Ellie, Mara called gently. Are you ready for breakfast? Eli ran up to her, almost tripping over her own feet. Mom, did you see the message I sent last night? She asked, tugging Mara's sleeve. Mara chuckled softly. I didn't see anything, Eli. What message? Ellie's eyes sparkled. The one in the beacon. I sent it into space. I asked for someone to help you. And maybe to be my father, too. Mara knelt down and took Eli's hands. Eli, that's very sweet. You really care about our family. She smiled, though she didn't let on that she didn't really expect anyone to respond. But space is very big. Very, very big. Messages can float around for a long time before anyone sees them. Ellie pouted but nodded. I know. But maybe, just maybe, someone will come. Mara ruffled her daughter's hair and led her toward the small kitchen. Well, we'll have breakfast anyway, and after that maybe you can help me check the solar panels on the western ridge. As they ate, Eli's mind wandered. She imagined all kinds of people who might come. Perhaps a wise old explorer with stories of distant galaxies, or a clever scientist who could fix anything with a snap of their fingers, or even a kind-hearted starship captain who could teach her how to pilot a ship. The possibilities made her stomach flutter with excitement. Meanwhile, far from New Solus in the central core worlds of the galaxy, a ship drifted silently through space. Its captain, Jax Orion, lounged in the control cabin. Jax was known in stories and holo news across many star systems, a clever hero who had helped prevent disasters, brokered peace among warring planets, and fixed problems no one else could. Yet in this moment he was alone, sipping a cup of warm space coffee, feeling something strange. A small alert pinged on his console. It was an unusual signal, a message bouncing off multiple satellites, carried by old interstellar beacons. Jax raised an eyebrow. The message read simply, Human, my mother needs a partner. I wish for a father. Please marry her and help lead the galaxy. Signed, Eli Vance. He blinked, almost laughing aloud. Well, now that's bold. Curiosity overcame him. It wasn't a mission, not an official assignment. It was a simple human plea. Something about it tugged at Jax's heart. He had traveled across galaxies, seen wonders and dangers, yet he hadn't heard a message quite like this before. With a shrug and a grin, he punched coordinates into the navigation console. Let's see where this little human lives, he muttered. Back on New Solus, Eli spent the day helping her mother check the solar panels. She climbed rocky ridges, carried small tools, and occasionally tripped over the uneven terrain, laughing all the while. Mara watched her with pride, noting how fearless and curious her daughter was, just like her. As the sun dipped behind the asteroid belt, painting the sky in deep violet, a shadow appeared in the distance. A sleek, silver ship descended slowly toward the settlement, its lights flickering like fireflies. The townsfolk stopped their chores, pointing and murmuring. This was unusual. New Solus rarely saw travelers. Eli's heart skipped a beat. "Mom, look!" she shouted, tugging Mara's sleeve. Mara's eyes narrowed as she studied the ship. "Stay calm, Eli," she said. "We don't know who or what is coming." The ship touched down gently on the soft, rocky ground. A ramp lowered, and a tall figure stepped out, dressed in practical space clothes, with a hint of charm in his stride. His dark hair caught the last rays of the twin suns, and a small smile tugged at his lips. Eli gasped. It's someone." The figure approached slowly, hands raised in greeting. "Hello," he said warmly. "I'm Jax Orion. I received a message." "I believe someone here sent it." Eli ran forward, nearly knocking him over in excitement. "It was me. I sent it. Did you come to help Mom?" Jax chuckled and crouched to her level. "I did. That's a big wish for a small human, but I think we can try." Mara stepped forward cautiously, studying the stranger. "You received a message from my daughter?" she asked, curiosity and caution mingling in her voice. "Yes, ma'am," Jax replied with a polite nod. "She asked for someone to help. Someone who could maybe help lead the galaxy with you." I couldn't ignore that. Mara raised an eyebrow, unsure what to make of this. "Help lead the galaxy? With me? That's a tall order." "I know," Jax said, smiling gently, "but maybe tall orders are what make life interesting." Eli bounced on her toes, clapping her hands. "See, Mom? I told you." "Someone heard me!" Mara laughed softly, feeling a strange warmth at Jax's presence. He was not just skilled, she could tell that immediately. His calm, careful movements, the way he studied her settlement like he wanted to understand it. But he also seemed human. Genuine. And somehow, in this quiet asteroid town, that felt rare and valuable. The townsfolk began to gather, curious, but wary. Jax greeted them with a nod and kind words, making jokes that brought smiles to their faces. Slowly, the fear of a stranger faded, replaced by intrigue. As night fell, Eli couldn't stop grinning. She stayed close to Jax as he helped Mara review the settlement's records and plans for tomorrow. The twin suns had disappeared, leaving only the glittering stars overhead, and for the first time in a long while, Eli felt hopeful. Maybe, just maybe, her small wish had started something much bigger than she had ever imagined. She whispered to herself, looking at the beacon above, now glowing faintly in the dark. "Thank you for listening." And somewhere in the quiet of space, Jax Orion looked up at the stars and thought, maybe this little town is exactly where I'm supposed to be. The sun rose slowly over New Solus, spilling gold and pink across the dusty platforms. The townsfolk were already moving about their daily routines, repairing solar panels, checking water filters, and guiding small transport drones across the settlement. Eli could hardly sleep the night before, thinking about the stranger who had landed so suddenly. "Mara," she whispered, bouncing on the edge of her bed. "He's still here. Jax, he's still here." Mara Vance smiled, brushing Eli's hair back gently. "Yes, Eli, he is. Now, let's have breakfast before we all get busy." The small kitchen smelled of toasted protein biscuits and sweet solar berries. Eli tried to eat, but her thoughts kept drifting to the silver ship that gleamed outside the window. She had so many questions. Who was Jax Orion? Could he really help her mother? Would he stay? And most importantly, could he become the father she wished for? Outside, Jax Orion was exploring the settlement with curiosity. Unlike other planets he had visited, New Solus was quiet, peaceful, and small. But every corner had purpose. Solar panels stretched across the ridges, energy collectors hummed softly, and small hover carts moved supplies from one platform to another. He noticed children playing near a low crater, laughing as they launched tiny gliders into the dusty air. There was Eli, bouncing on her toes, waving at him excitedly. He smiled, adjusting the strap of his utility bag. "This place, it's simple, yet full of life. I like that." When breakfast ended, Mara suggested they take Jax on a tour of the settlement. Eli held his hand, practically dragging him from one corner to another, proudly pointing out storage rooms, observation decks, and the hidden caves where sunlight reflected in brilliant colors. Jax listened, asking questions and sometimes making small jokes that made Eli giggle uncontrollably. "You're quite the tour guide," he said, smiling down at her. "I'm the best," Eli declared. "I know everything about New Solus." "You might be right," he admitted. "I've been everywhere, but I haven't seen a place quite like this." As the sun climbed higher, Mara led Jax to the western ridge, where the main solar arrays needed inspection. The panels glistened under the twin suns stretching across the rough asteroid rock like sheets of silver. "These panels supply most of the town," Mara explained. "If they fail, we'd have serious trouble." Jax nodded, squinting at the panels. "I see. Looks like some of the connectors are loose. Do you want me to—" "You can," Mara said, raising an eyebrow. "If you're willing." Eli watched as Jax climbed carefully across the platforms, checking each connection with precision. He worked with focus and calm, gently tightening bolts and adjusting alignment. Mara was impressed, not just by his skill, but by the way he treated the panels with care, like they were living things rather than machines. After a few hours, Jax finished. "All set," he said, hopping down gracefully. "Should last another solar cycle." Mara smiled. "Well done." "You really know your way around this kind of technology." Eli's eyes shone. "See, Mom, I told you he could help." Mara chuckled softly, shaking her head. "Yes, Eli." "You were right." Just as they were heading back, a soft alert came from the central control hub. The main communication console flickered, showing an incoming message. It wasn't dangerous, but it was urgent. A small group of minor bots had drifted from a neighboring asteroid, accidentally interfering with New Solus's energy grid. The bots weren't hostile, but if they weren't redirected, they could overload the system and cause a blackout. Eli gasped. "Oh no." "The lights, the computers, the whole town." Mara frowned. "We'll need to fix it quickly." "But the bots are automated. If we're careful, we can guide them away without trouble." Jax's eyes lit up. "I can help with that. Show me the control hub." Together, the three of them sprinted to the central hub, Eli leading the way with excitement. The console displayed the erratic paths of the minor bots, moving unpredictably across the settlement's energy conduits. Jax studied the patterns carefully, tapping on his tablet, redirecting some bots, and creating temporary safe zones for them to operate without interference. Eli pointed to one that seemed confused. "That one's stuck," Jax smiled. "Good eye, Eli. Let's help it find its way." He tapped the controls, guiding the bot smoothly to a designated recharge station. The others followed, like a tiny parade of metal animals moving in perfect order. Within an hour, all the bots were safely redirected. The energy grid hummed normally again, the settlement lights sparkling under the twin suns. Mara exhaled in relief. "That was impressive," she admitted. "I didn't think we could do it so smoothly." Eli bounced up and down. "See, Mom? I told you he's amazing." Jax laughed. "We did it together. Couldn't have done it without my little guide here." He ruffled Eli's hair gently. That evening, the townsfolk gathered near the settlement square. New Solus didn't have a traditional town hall, but this open space worked just as well for meetings or celebrations. Mara called everyone together. "I want to thank Jax Orion for helping us today," she said, her voice carrying across the square. "He's shown skill, patience, and kindness in keeping our town safe," the crowd murmured appreciatively. Eli beamed. She had never seen her mother so openly proud of someone she didn't know yet. Jack stepped forward, bowing slightly. "It's an honor," he said. "But I have to say, I've never worked with a team like this before. You all take care of each other in ways I didn't know were possible." A small group of children came forward, curious about this new visitor. Eli held up her hands proudly. "This is Jax. He's the one who helped guide the minor bots." The children cheered. Jax smiled and waved, making funny faces that made everyone laugh. Even Mara allowed herself a small smile at his antics. Later that night, Eli and Jax sat on the beacon platform again, the stars glittering above them. "You really came," Eli said softly. "You actually came." Jax looked at her thoughtfully. "Your message. It was different from any I've ever received. Most are cold or formal. Yours, it felt real, human, honest. And I wanted to see it for myself." Eli's eyes filled with hope. "You'll stay? You'll help Mom?" Jack smiled, his eyes catching the reflection of the stars. "I think I will, Eli. I think we can try." Eli leaned back, staring at the twin suns that had disappeared behind the asteroid belt. "Thank you," she whispered. "I think maybe the stars really do listen." At that moment, Mara came up the platform. She had been watching silently, noticing how Eli's face lit up with hope and how Jax treated her with respect. "I see you've made a friend," Mara said softly. "Yes," Eli said quickly. "A really good one." He's amazing." Mara studied Jax with careful eyes. "I can see that," she said. Then she looked at Eli. "And you have a way of seeing good in people that most adults don't. Maybe that's why he came." Jax stood and offered a hand to Mara. "Shall we see what tomorrow brings?" Mara hesitated, then took his hand, a small but meaningful gesture. "Yes, tomorrow." Eli jumped up, clapping her hands. "Tomorrow! Tomorrow we start a new adventure!" The three of them stayed on the platform for a long while, watching the stars blink to life in the dark sky. For the first time in a long while, New Solace felt brighter, not just because of the lights or the twin suns, but because of hope, friendship, and the beginning of a new family. Somewhere in the distance, tiny miner bots moved carefully in their stations, guided by the hands of humans who were learning to work together. And somewhere above, the beacon blinked softly, still sending its message to the far reaches of space. "Thank you." The galaxy was wide, mysterious, and full of challenges, but with Eli, Mara, and Jax together, even the smallest asteroid town felt like the center of adventure, laughter, and possibility. The twin suns of New Solace had barely risen when Mara Vance received a message on her holopad. The signal came from the Interstellar Council, a group of representatives from dozens of nearby planets. Their request was simple but urgent. They wanted a representative from New Solace to help negotiate a peaceful agreement between two neighboring asteroid colonies. Mara frowned. The matter was not dangerous, but it required careful diplomacy. New Solace was small, and her voice alone might not carry weight among the council. "Ellie," she said, "we have an important task. I might need to leave the settlement for a short time." Ellie's eyes widened. "Leave? But who will stay with me?" Jax stepped forward with a reassuring smile. "I can stay, Eli. Or better, I can go with your mother and help." Eli gasped. "Really? You'll go with her?" "Yes," Jax said gently. "It sounds like you could use two helpers instead of one, and I think we can handle it together." Mara studied him for a moment, then nodded. "Very well. We leave today." "Eli, you'll stay here with the town's deputy, but Jax and I will be gone. We'll need your support from afar." Eli nodded solemnly. "I'll do my best." They boarded Jax's sleek star cruiser, its polished silver hull reflecting the twin suns. The ship hummed as it lifted off, gliding past the asteroid ridges, leaving a trail of shimmering light. Mara and Jax sat side by side in the cockpit, while Eli monitored the communications hub from her seat behind them. "The Council doesn't know us personally," Mara said, fingers flying over the navigation controls. "We'll need to make a good impression and prove New Solace is responsible and capable." Jax nodded. "Then we'll do exactly that. And don't worry, Mara. Your settlement has prepared me well. I've already seen how it runs. I understand your priorities." Eli glanced between them, excitement bubbling in her chest. "This is so cool, you both are going to the council together." "Yes, Eli," Mara said with a small smile. "And when we return, I hope you'll be proud of what we accomplished." The star cruiser glided through the dark void of space, stars streaking past as they approached the council station, a massive floating hub that shone like a jewel among the asteroids. Ships of all sizes moved through its docking bays, and alien representatives of many shapes and colors walked across the observation platforms. As they docked, Mara felt a mix of nerves and excitement. She had led her settlement for years, but dealing with an interstellar council was different. "We need to show them that New Solace is smart, fair, and trustworthy," she said. Jax nodded. "Then let's start by listening. Every representative has concerns. We just need to respond with patience and honesty." Inside the council chambers, representatives were already gathered. Tall beings with glimmering eyes, short, squat creatures with multiple arms, and others whose forms Eli couldn't have imagined crowded the space. Mara and Jax stood together as they approached the council desk. One of the council members, a slender alien named Oren Velis, spoke first. "New Solace, we understand you have sent a representative. What can your settlement contribute to the resolution of this dispute?" Mara inhaled and began. "Our settlement is small, but we value fairness, efficiency, and cooperation. We've maintained peace among neighboring asteroids for decades. We can offer logistical support, technology advice, and guidance on energy management to help both colonies resolve their dispute. The council murmured among themselves. It was not a bad start, but Mara knew the next questions would test her reasoning, leadership, and creativity. Jax stepped forward. I am Jax Orion, and I will be assisting Captain Vance. I have experience in coordinating multiple settlements and resolving conflicts. Together we can provide strategies that focus on collaboration and long-term benefits for everyone involved. Mara watched him carefully. Jax's confidence and clarity impressed the council. More importantly, he complimented her without taking over. Together they seemed like a strong team, not just two individuals. Over the next few hours, the council put forth challenges. First, a question about energy sharing. Two colonies wanted the same solar resources. Mara suggested a rotating schedule that would allow each colony to benefit equally, while also adding a shared maintenance program so both settlements learned from each other's practices. Then came trade negotiations. One asteroid wanted rare minerals, while the other needed water and food. Jax suggested a barter and rotation system, where resources would be shared across cycles, preventing hoarding and encouraging cooperation. Finally, they asked about conflict prevention. What if a settlement refused to follow the agreements? Mara and Jax answered together. They proposed a neutral observation council, including representatives from both settlements and New Solus, to ensure fairness and mediate disputes quickly. By the end of the session, the council members were nodding and murmuring approval. Mara's heart lifted. It was clear that their combined approach, Mara's experience, Jax's innovative thinking, and their ability to communicate clearly, was making a strong impression. Back in the ship, Eli was tracking their progress via a secure link. She cheered quietly every time the council members nodded. "Mom, he's helping!" "This is amazing." Jax looked over his shoulder at her, smiling. "You're a good observer, Eli. Thanks for keeping us informed." "You're welcome," she said, bouncing in her chair. "We're all working together." Mara smiled at her daughter's excitement. "Indeed we are, Eli. You've been a big part of this, too." Eli beamed, proud to be included in something so important. She felt her wish growing closer to reality. Someone to help her mother, someone to guide her family, and even the galaxy if needed. The council concluded the session with a vote. Representatives raised glowing tokens to approve the proposals. When the final count was announced, it was unanimous. New Solus would be the mediator for the asteroid dispute. The room erupted in polite applause. Mara allowed herself a small smile of relief, while Jax gave a subtle nod, satisfied. "Congratulations," Orenvella said, approaching them. "You have demonstrated wisdom, balance, and the ability to work as a team. New Solus is fortunate to have leaders like you." Mara glanced at Jax, a warm acknowledgement passing between them. For the first time, she felt that she didn't have to face every challenge alone. And for Eli, who watched from afar, the happiness in her mother's eyes was the greatest reward. On the way back to New Solus, Mara, Jax, and Eli finally had a moment to relax. They sat on the observation deck of the Star Cruiser, watching stars streak past in long silver trails. "You were amazing," Mara said softly to Jax. "I don't know if I could have handled the council alone." "You would have," Jax replied. "But sometimes even the best leader can use a partner, and I'm glad I was able to help." Eli jumped in between them. "See, I told you. We make a good team," Mara laughed, brushing Eli's hair back. "Yes, Eli, we do. Maybe this is what family really means," Eli said thoughtfully. "Helping each other even when things are hard. And even when the galaxy is really big." Jack smiled down at her. "Exactly. Family isn't just who you're born with. It's who you care for and who cares for you. And we've got a pretty good start here." Mara nodded in agreement, a feeling of warmth spreading through her chest. She glanced at Jax, feeling trust, respect, and even something deeper beginning to grow. For the first time in a long while, she felt that leading New Solus, and maybe even the galaxy, was something she didn't have to do alone. Eli leaned back, gazing at the stars. She imagined their future adventures, exploring distant planets, guiding settlements, helping communities, and discovering new friends across the galaxy. And most importantly, she imagined her family, herself, her mother, and Jax, working together, laughing together, and learning from one another. The stars outside the ship twinkled like distant promises. Eli felt certain that her small wish sent out from a dusty beacon was growing into something real. And for the first time she felt that maybe, just maybe, the galaxy could be brighter because of them. Twin suns of New Solus were just rising over the horizon, painting the asteroid town in shades of orange and gold. Eli could barely contain her excitement. Today was the day her mother, Captain Mara Vance, and Jax Orion were leaving for their first council mission. Eli bounced in place, tugging at Mara's sleeve. "Mom, are you ready?" "Are you really going?" Mara knelt down and smiled. "Yes, Eli. But you'll stay here and help take care of New Solus while we are away. Jax and I will be gone for a few days, but we'll be in touch." Eli pouted for just a moment, then brightened. "Jax can go with you, right? He'll help?" "Yes," Mara said, "and I'm glad to have him by my side. But you need to help from here, too. You'll be our eyes and ears at the settlement." Ellie's chest puffed out. "I can do that, I promise." Jax gave her a reassuring smile. "And I'll help your mom, too. Together, we'll make sure everything goes smoothly." The Star Cruiser hummed softly as it lifted off from New Solus. Its silver hull reflected the twin suns, and the small thrusters left streaks of orange light in their wake. Eli waved from the settlement platform, feeling both excitement and worry. She trusted her mother, but the galaxy was large and unpredictable. Inside the cockpit, Mara and Jax prepared for their journey. The Interstellar Council had requested New Solus's participation to mediate a dispute between two neighboring asteroid colonies. One colony had energy shortages, while the other had an excess of valuable minerals. Without careful guidance, the dispute could escalate and disrupt the entire sector's trade network. Mara adjusted the navigation panel. "The Council will test us. They want to see if New Solus is capable of guiding peaceful solutions. We need to show that we understand both colonies' needs and can find a fair solution." Jax leaned back in his seat, a calm expression on his face. "Then we just need to listen carefully, think clearly, and present practical solutions. Nothing tricky, just honesty and teamwork." Eli, seated behind them, pressed a finger to her lips. "I hope we can really help. I want to make you proud, Mom." Mara smiled. "You already make me proud, Eli. Just being thoughtful and curious is enough." As the Star Cruiser approached the Council station, Eli's eyes widened. The station was enormous, floating in the emptiness of space like a diamond suspended among asteroids. Ships of all shapes and sizes moved gracefully in the docking bays. Alien representatives, some tall and thin, others short and round, some glowing faintly with energy, walked across observation platforms, communicating in strange sounds and gestures. Jax guided the ship smoothly to the docking platform. "Ready for the Council?" he asked Mara. "As ready as I'll ever be," Mara replied. "Let's show them what New Solus can do." The council chambers were even more impressive up close. The walls shimmered with hollow displays showing trade routes, energy grids, and resource statistics for dozens of planets. Representatives from every major settlement in the sector filled the room, each with a unique way of communicating. Mara felt a twinge of nerves, but she kept her expression calm. One of the council members, a slender alien named Oren Velis, addressed them first. "New Solus, you have sent representatives to mediate a dispute between neighboring colonies. Tell us how your settlement plans to manage this challenge." Mara straightened. "Our settlement may be small, but we value fairness, transparency, and cooperation. We have experience managing limited resources carefully, and we can provide solutions that benefit both colonies equally." Oren Velis raised an eyebrow. "And who assists you in this task?" Jax stepped forward. "I am Jax Orion. I have coordinated multiple settlements across the sector and assisted with trade negotiations, resource management, and cooperative planning. Together, we combine New Solus's local knowledge with experience in wider interstellar strategy." Mara gave him a brief, approving glance. His calm confidence complemented her leadership without overshadowing it. The council began their questions, testing both Mara and Jax's abilities. The first challenge involved energy allocation. One colony had an abundance of solar power, while the other had insufficient energy to run its mining equipment. Mara suggested a rotating energy schedule, allowing both colonies to draw power without overloading the grid. Jax added the idea of shared maintenance teams, where engineers from both colonies could work together to keep the systems efficient. The council members nodded thoughtfully. "Interesting approach," one said. "It encourages cooperation rather than competition." Next came resource trade. One colony needed water, while the other had limited access to food. Jax proposed a cyclical barter system, where each colony would rotate shipments of water, minerals, and food on a fixed schedule. This prevented shortages and created trust between the communities. Mara added that New Solus could provide mediation support, sending neutral representatives to resolve disputes before they grew. Finally, the council asked about future conflict prevention. Mara and Jax responded together. Mara suggested establishing a shared oversight committee with representatives from both colonies and New Solus to monitor compliance and resolve disagreements. Jax added that regular joint workshops could help the colonies learn each other's needs, encouraging collaboration. By the end of the session, the council members were murmuring approval. Mara allowed herself a quiet smile. They had handled the council's tests successfully. While Mara and Jax answered questions, Eli watched from New Solus, communicating through a secure hololink. Every time the council acknowledged her mother or Jax's proposals, she clapped her hands in excitement. "Mom! Jax! You're doing it. You're amazing." Jax glanced over his shoulder. "Eli, you've been a great helper too. Your updates kept us informed about what the council needed." Eli's eyes shone. "Really? I'm helping?" Mara nodded warmly. "You've played a very important role. You helped us stay aware of every detail. You're part of this team, Eli." Eli felt a warmth in her chest. This was what she had wanted. To help. To be part of something bigger. And to see her mother succeed with someone she could trust. Finally, the council took a vote. Representatives raised glowing tokens to show agreement or dissent. The result was unanimous. New Solus would mediate the asteroid dispute. Oren Velis approached Mara and Jax. "Your settlement has demonstrated wisdom, fairness, and teamwork. The sector is fortunate to have leaders like you guiding these communities." Mara glanced at Jax, silently acknowledging the partnership that had made this success possible. For the first time, she realized she didn't have to face the galaxy alone. The journey back to New Solus was quiet but full of satisfaction. Mara, Jax, and Eli finally had a moment to relax on the observation deck of the Star Cruiser. Stars streaked past like silver ribbons. "You were excellent," Mara said softly to Jax. "I don't know if I could have done it alone." "You would have," Jax replied. "But it's better to have a partner, and I'm glad I could help." Eli bounced in her seat. "See, I told you we make a good team." Mara laughed. "Yes, Eli, we do." Eli looked out at the stars. "Maybe this is what family really means," she said thoughtfully. "Helping each other, even when things are big and scary, and even when the galaxy feels really far away." Jax smiled. "Exactly. Family isn't only about who you're born with. It's who you care for and who cares for you. And we've got a pretty good start here." Mara nodded, feeling a deep warmth in her chest. She glanced at Jax and felt trust, respect, and a growing bond forming. Leading New Solus and maybe even helping other settlements in the galaxy felt easier, knowing they had each other. Eli leaned back, imagining future adventures, exploring distant planets, meeting new people, solving problems, and learning together. And most importantly, she imagined her family, herself, her mother, and Jax, working together, laughing together, and supporting each other. The stars outside twinkled like tiny promises. Eli felt certain her small wish, sent from a dusty beacon, was coming true, and for the first time she believed that the galaxy could be brighter because of them.